Robyn.
And I'm Julie.
We're two mamas who love inspiring healthy living.
After facing family health challenges and seeing how natural solutions transformed our lives, we are determined to help other mamas thrive, not just survive.
What if feeling awesome is possible for you and your family?
Come along with us on our natural journey.
She's not stressed. Hi, I'm Robyn.
And I'm Julie.
Welcome to our podcast,
Helping Mamas Thrive.
We have a special guest today, Laurie Azzarella. She's amazing. We're going to introduce her in a second, but we just felt like we needed to oil first.
Yes.
So we're going to do that. What should we do? White Angelica?
I don't know. What do you have there, Laurie?
Brain power?
I have some clove. I need my blood thinned out.
Oh,
all right.
Nice.
Oh, yes. Let the antioxidants flow.
Let's do freedom.
Ooh, freedom. So, Oilers, you have 3 Oilers here today on this podcast, which is going to be awesome because there's going to be so many nuggets of information that are going to just pop out of nowhere. So I'm very for our conversation. It's always good ever since I started oiling way back and I don't know, for me, it's only
When
been
she's saying oiling, she means essential oils.
Oh yeah, essential oils back in 2015. And we would have meetings and Laurie Azzarella would be there and she would tell stories. And my jaw, I would just be like open mouth the whole time. I'm like, oh my gosh, these stories. And it was such a gift. It was like absolutely amazing to hear how essential oils have transformed lives over the years. And then we got to meet Laurie as a reflexologist, and we'll talk all about that. So today is about reflexology.
Great. Do you want to? So welcome, Laurie.
Yay!
Well, thank you for having me, lovely ladies. I'm so happy to talk about oils and feet. I mean, it's my 2 best things. Love it.
That's hilarious.
And she's holding feet. For those of you that can see on YouTube, she's holding feet right now.
Of course. I love it. They should be my hands, right? Kind of fun.
I thought you were clapping them like your hands.
I was. Yeah. Yay.
Let's just start with your background and how you started using essential oils.
Oh, wow. So, this was a long time ago. I've been, well, let me back up because, with reflexology, I was using the oils that you could buy in the stores. And it was like the story of Gary Young, when people would say use essential oils, he would be like, they don't do anything. And that's how I felt because they really didn't do anything. And I read book upon book upon book and I studied it, and I would go to the store and try a different brand and try a different brand and the health food stores, and it must be good. And it didn't do anything. So one of my foot clients, she was very interesting because she had chronic fatigue syndrome. And so it was like Epstein-Barr. Okay. So that's the new name for it. But back then, we're going way back. So anyway, so she brought me, back then it was an Essential 7s kit. And the Essential 7 kit had 7 essential oils in it. And I knew how expensive these oils were. So she gave it to me as a gift. And I was like blown away. And I wouldn't use it on my clients. I would just sit down in the quiet of the night and just open each one and just smell it. I didn't know what to do with these beautiful oils. Nobody was teaching how to use the oils. So God bless all the educators out there, and God bless Gary Young for teaching us how to use the oils. And so I would just smell them, and so would Donna, this client. And the thing is, as we worked on her feet, she was getting more and more tired, and she kept smelling these oils. And I realized the oils were detoxing her body along with the reflexology. So she was getting major detox. And of course, she had chronic fatigue syndrome. So now she goes, I have no energy. And I'm like, well, stop snorting the oils for a while. Let your body catch up. So that's how I was introduced to essential oils. So it took me a good, year to get out of just snorting oils into actually putting them on the feet. But once I
So
did, it was amazing to see the difference when you have what I call premium life force essential oils. And Young Living is the most exquisite of that category.
that's awesome. So you were doing reflexology before you were doing Young Living essential oils.
Correct.
Can you explain to everybody what reflexology is?
Reflexology is very ancient, it's very old. And now what's exciting is the new research that's coming out, that's verifying what we have known for thousands of years. And so there are reflexes on the feet and hands that correspond to all your body parts, your organs, your glands. And it's a way, I call them doorways into your soul. Get it, soul? So it's a but anyways, so I think it's really important when you look at the foot, and this is kind of a fake foot, but your head, the toes look like heads and necks. The ball of the foot is the chest. This soft stuff in here is your soft stuff down here. And then the heel is your core, is your, pelvic area. So with that, the body's just split into two sections. So everything on the right foot is going to be all the organs on your right foot, and on the left are all the organs on the left side of your body. So by working,
Description, because I didn't even know that. No.
Oh, it's so fun. And the hands, and obviously the hands the same way. So the hands are very good for self-help. And so the hands are very important for self-help. And it's amazing when we were, I love to talk to people, and when I grab their hands and I start working their reflexes and I find a tender reflex, and then I'll have them smell an oil. And then I go back to that reflex. They're like, oh, that doesn't hurt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how quickly Young Living oils will go into the body. It's amazing.
You do have magic hands. So
Magic hands.
The very first time I went to a class, and Laurie was teaching, and I think it was just reflexes, a very general on the feet. And I don't even know what location we were at, but this was my first introduction to you. And we were all in our chairs, and Laurie came around, and she would be like, are there any spots, that, you need to work on? And when she would hit it immediately, and you'd be like your adrenals or whatever it might be, like nailed that reflex. And I was like, oh my word, it was amazing. So you really do have magic hands. It's definitely a gift that you have, and now you share it with the world.
I share it because you know what? Everybody has that same gift, Julie. I mean, we're all designed by God for a specific purpose. And mine is to empower people to realize that they have, just like you guys, what you're doing, you're empowering people to understand their body and to do natural ways to clear out, if people just think about genetics, which to me is 5% of what's really going on in your body. It's not genetics, but they've told us it's genetics. So now just think about that. If it's genetics, if your parents had, say, heart disease, and your parents before that had heart, and blah, 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 blah. The issue is not necessarily the heart is bad, right? It's the unburdening of what the heart was carrying. And generation after generation, we carry that heartbreak, the hard-heartedness, the protection, don't get hurt. It's such an emotional thing, and you guys do a beautiful job helping everybody run through those emotions. But what I love about the feet is people have a hard time accepting that their emotions are landing and causing them the physical ailments. It doesn't connect because we have not been taught that. Okay, we've been incorrectly. Right. So what the beauty of Reflex-OIL-ogy is, when I go through and I work on that reflex to the heart, and let me tell you, that reflex in the heart area is so hard. It's really amazing to me. It's very protected. You'll see a lot of calluses here. You'll see a lot of bunion, right? And I'll have a story with one of my clients, and she was in a relationship and her feet were fine. They broke up. She comes into me next week and there were two almost like gashes in her feet. And I said, "Did you hurt yourself?" No, nothing. She was heartbroken. She was heartbroken.
Right. Let's pause for a second. So, oh, sorry, finish your story. I thought you were done with that.
No, that's okay. I'm done. So anyway, I put oils on it and worked the feet and we got over it. But the feet, the beauty of the reflexology, that's why I call them doorways. You know, it's a doorway into your soul. It's a way for people to connect the emotional body, the mental body, the spiritual body through the feet into the physical body, or vice versa. So we tend to always focus on what, right? We always tend to focus on physically what's wrong with us. I hurt here, my shoulder, my hip, my headaches, my digestion, blah, 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 blah. And we all have the blah, blah, blahs. But if we think about all of the things that we are carrying, not just ourselves, I'm eating healthy now and I'm still not feeling good. Why? Because it's the stuff from your parents, your ancestry, all of that. Why? Because it's coming to the surface to be released. And I love it when people, you know, my sister, one of them, she goes, "Laurie, my feet never hurt until you touched them," you know, and she got mad. But we are so good at burying things. We're so good at, you know, just sucking it up and pushing through life and just working it out, just doing it. And so when you have that access where you can go in and like Julie said, that tenderness on your feet, and you're like, whoa, what is that? It's an opportunity for you. It's an opportunity to go, okay, well, let's explore that. What is it in your body that's there? Well, let's look at the physical organ. The physical organ has a story to tell. It has a story to tell. Right.
So I just want to pause because Laurie was saying things that we do. So we do emotion code, and I think that's what you're talking about, plus the oiling. And there's so many ways to go at health. And what we were taught, and this is what Laurie was talking about, is the physical components of health, not necessarily the emotional and the spiritual components of health. And so all these different ways that we highlight are ways to address that. There's multiple ways to get to the healing that we need. And sometimes we need many of these different modalities. You know, we combine so many modalities for our healing. So this is fascinating too. And Julie and I always talk about our bodies. Like, we learn so much about our bodies every day. Like, God created our bodies. They're so cool. Like what you just said, Laurie, hello, never knew it about the feet. Totally makes sense. I mean, I knew that the brain, like when I first started using essential oils and I put the vetiver on Jonathan's big toe, and I knew that was the VitaFlex point to the brain. So I knew that, but I didn't picture like what you just said about here's the head and here's the middle and here's the pelvic area. So that's fascinating. So I encourage people who are listening to this and or watching this video, you can look up these points, go look at it, because there's so many significant things about our bodies that we just don't talk about or realize.
That's so true. And it's such a great way to access so many different organs and glands. I know for my kids, so my 5 kids, they don't always allow me to do a lot of things on them, but they will give me their feet. They're like, fine, put the oils down there, and they will hand me their feet.
Yes.
But, so it's been such a blessing over the years. And even for me, I have been down for the count, and I have used Reflexology in a matter of like 18 or 20 hours to get back up to a functioning level. And the power is unbelievable. So I wanted to just talk about a little science thing. Can I do that?
Yeah. So I also want to talk about how she created Reflex-OIL-ogy.
Oh, yes. Okay. So we'll do this first, and then we
Okay.
can talk about how you developed your company. So basically, it's the on-off like pulsing combined with the oils, right? Is that why it's so powerful to the body?
Well, I'm learning so many things. Yes, Julie, yes. And it's frequency. You guys
Right.
are all about frequency. So that frequency is that on, off, everything is frequency. You know, your lights, your computers, your heartbeat, your rhythm, your breath, everything, the waters, everything is this. So the oils are frequency. So when you apply an essential oil, and a lot of times what oils will do, oilers will just slap an oil on their feet, right?
Right.
And they'll just rub it in. Oh, it's a plastic foot. I just wasted that oil.
Oh man.
Wait a minute. That plastic foot doesn't need that oil. I need that oil. Thank you. So when they rub, and believe me, it's not bad. I'm not saying, but you could get, I would say, at least 60% more effect if you did either VitaFlex or Reflexology. What's the difference? VitaFlex is using the fingers with the wrist. Notice it's on, off, right? Reflexology was developed on the East Coast, VitaFlex on the West Coast. You know, we know how that division is. So Reflexology is the same thing, but it's easier for me as a giver to have the feet in front of me. So I'm sitting like this and I'm working on the feet with my thumb. When I do myself, it's easier for me to do the VitaFlex because I can't get my foot turned around. But working the spinal reflex, I find the thumb a lot easier, excuse me, wrong side, a lot easier for me when I'm working on myself. So that's the difference, but you're right, Julie, the alternating pressure, it's like you oil the reflex that's tender, and then the thumb or the frequency pushes it into the body. So as you step on the earth is grounding. So you are an electrical being. So when you step on the earth, if there is a blockage, say you have a bad shoulder, right? So the energy as you walk on the earth, the energy is not going through from the feet to energize that shoulder. I know that sounds kind of weird, but Vivian Torrey is one of my dear friends and reflexologist, wonderful reflexologist in New Orleans, sent me an article in Japan from Japan scientists where they used a photon therapy, and they realized that the light was emanating most significantly from the hands, from the feet, the top of the head. So these areas, again, I teach conduits of energy. So your hands and your feet, that's why we're light workers. But when
I
you
always feel the energy in my,
right,
I feel heat from my head all the time.
there you go. So when you combine my energy, this is the cool thing, because neurons in the brain synapse, they connect, they're sending that pulse of energy through, right? So think I'm a neuron. This is Julie's foot. She's a neuron. I connect my energy with her energy.
Wow.
You see, so and then you put the essential oil on and it's like, it's like crazy good. It's like crazy good.
If you guys are listening on the Apple podcast,
Yeah.
you may want to go onto the YouTube version of this.
The feet are too much fun. Yes,
Yeah.
the feet are too much fun.
Emotions and stuff. So it's good
So
to
fun.
watch.
Now, here's the other thing, and more research being done too. So Kevin Kuntz, another one of my colleagues, who has been a researcher for years, and as reflexologists and light workers, we know what we do works. You guys know what you do works. We don't necessarily explain it to you. Oh, my son. Sorry, decline. Sorry about that. So
Okay.
we don't necessarily know what we're doing, how it works. We just know it works, right? Well, he got a hold of a grant, and you can look him up. His name is Kevin Kuntz, Kunz, and they are
Okay.
doing research, and where they are actually going into putting the client in a functional MRI. And as he is working on the feet, the brain is being pictured, and it's like lighting up everywhere. It's like a Christmas tree.
That's
my-
amazing.
And the neuroscientist is like blown away, because they're like, this changes everything we thought about neurology.
Whoa.
Yes.
Yes.
I
So,
love
yay, that deserves a foot clap.
Yes.
So it's like science is finally catching up. You understand? So we have frequency medicine, we have vibrational medicine, the med beds, the light therapy, color, sound therapy. But reflexology has always been there, always been there. Grounding, the Earth's magnetic field is supposed to go through our bodies. And what blocks that energy from going to our shoulder is the congestion, the toxicity, the heaviness. And it's like a impassable. So what the oils do is goes in, and it starts to break down as oils do. It starts to dissolve the impassable,
Love it.
So now the energy can go up through, because we are just conduits. We're supposed to flow with love and light and energy. So
Right.
from my hands to your souls.
Love it.
Yeah.
So if you notice a foot, like if you notice something on your foot changing, so let's say all of a sudden the left side of your foot is hurting by the way you're walking or something, you would evaluate that part of the foot and see what organ or gland was attached. And then we would do some kind of like discussion about that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Or even plantar fasciitis. Right. Plantar fasciitis, the whole foot is tender.
Right.
Or maybe it's just the heel. So if it's on the left foot and it's in the heel, that's where the sigmoid colon reflex is.
Oh, a lot of
Mm.
people test for sigmoid colon. I would say at least 50% of my clients have their sigmoid colon is not balanced.
That's so
So-
interesting.
So the
Okay.
lead, the toxicity, you see, the feet are talking, so the heaviness, the lead falls down into that heel, and the feet are telling you where the issue is.
So what if somebody has candida in multiple organs? How would you address that from a reflexology
Well, it's
standpoint?
interesting. So a lot of times candida will show up on the toenails. So
Okay.
a lot of times, if it's just one toenail, it's usually because it's been injured, but then you'll see the nails getting thicker on some of the other toenails. That's right away, to me, all right, there's systemically what's going on. So everybody has candida. It's just whether
Right.
it's gotten out of its zone where it should be staying in the intestinal area. So a lot of times it goes to the head. Stinking thinking is what I call it. And you're really like foggy brain, and I don't know what's going on, because you got these cobwebs up there. And so a lot of times sometimes it'll show up as a light fungus on the feet, like a powdery issue here.
Mhm.
So I can identify it in different ways, I can go through and talk to the pancreas and how's your blood sugar levels going? No, I'm fine. Oh yeah, well, you like sweets. What kind of sweets you eating? Because I can tell you're eating sweets by feeling the pancreas. And then we get to the intestine, you've got to be processing this, and then the liver's going to chime in, and then it is going to affect your hormonals, your adrenal glands. You eat the sugar because you're low energy, because the liver is so toxic. It's a journey. You walk your journey, you walk your path. And so the feet are going to explain to you where those issues are. And so we have to go one by one, right? We have to go one issue at a time a lot of times. So it's not always an easy fix, but a lot of people will come to me because their feet hurt. And, to me, it's like, wow, that's easy because where they hurt is where the issue is, that's an easy
Mhm.
fix for me. Yeah.
Do you find, so like for our clients, let's say they have 10 issues and the body will reveal to us what, or we ask the body what's the most important thing to deal with first, and we get a priority. So do you find that in Reflex-OIL-ogy too? Like when you're pressing on somebody's foot, maybe something hurts, but you find that something else is a priority?
Yes, and so that's what, a lot of people will see the reflexology charts out there, and there's pretty colors and they have labels. And so it's like you think, okay, I'll press here, or I'll put an oil here and I'll press there and it should go away. No, I mean, you're going to get, a fraction of a percent of the effectiveness, because nothing works by itself.
Mm.
And thank God.
Mhm. Mhm.
Could you imagine living your life alone? We all, just as we are in community, your organs and glands are in community. So that when something is tender and it's showing something on the feet, then I have to go and figure out what body system does that belong to? Where is the congestion? What is it making up for? Why is it so stressed? Because maybe it's doing the job of another body system that it's also connected to. And so it's a tapestry. It's untangling it. And the beauty of it is people feel it.
Mhm.
I want to spend, I just
I
feel
know,
like
right?
I want you to touch my feet and like
Yep.
talk.
I
It,
wish I could.
it
I wish I could. I wish
I
I could.
it's
know.
amazing. But so I do want to ask you about how you started
Yes.
Reflexology, and how that is being taught, because now you travel around, and you hold many workshops so people can learn from you. And so tell us about the beginning when you started this.
So the beginning, I had my body manifested an autoimmune disorder, alopecia. I lost my hair when I was 7 years old. Went through the whole medical realm. Obviously, doctors don't understand autoimmune. And
Right.
so, but anyway, so long story short, and I went to a massage therapist, luckily, who knew reflexology. So she's working on my body and I'm relaxed. She gets to my feet and I'm like, I sit up like, whoa, what's going on? Whoa, what is that? Wow, what's going on? And so she explained to me, the feet are corresponding to your innards. And it gave me validity. It validated my feelings. It's like I knew something was not right internally. And I think a lot of people feel that. They even will go on a medicine, but the medicine is simply blocking what's really going on. So they still don't feel. We were designed for optimal, magnificent living here, to have an abundance of joy and energy and ability to create, because that's what we were designed for, not to like make it through each day and plod along. So people don't understand that, and they think they're just the status quo. No, you need to be way up here off the charts. And so,
Yes.
right. And so I was so blessed to have her explain that to me. And right away, Julie and Robyn, I just knew, I knew right then and there, I want to learn more. I don't understand what this is about the feet thing. I don't get it, but I want to learn more. And so at that time, Dwight Byers, who is the father of reflexology in the United States, the Ingham method, and his aunt Eunice Ingham was the mother. Well, that was his aunt. They weren't married. You understand? There
Yeah,
was
right.
aunt and a nephew. But anyway, so it's kind of came out strange. Anyways, so he was teaching a class in Toronto, Canada, and I was living in Buffalo, New York at that time. So I went to Toronto, Canada, and I'll never forget it. because it was in a hotel and everybody's walking around with shorts and t-shirts. I was freezing. I was so cold. I remember during break, they had an indoor pool and I would go and stick my feet in the warm water because I could not get warm. And it was my body detoxing, right? It was like my whole nervous system was like, oh my God, you know, they were all screaming and running around like crazy inside my body. And so I remember going back a year later because I had reflexology. I started practicing and I had a great mentor. I went back a year later and I was proud to say I was one of those in the t-shirts and shorts because my body had begun to unwind and to not be so tense and tight.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So I learned, and this was back in the 1990s, and I did it on my kids and anybody who has children or grandchildren. I mean, if nothing else, learn it for yourself, for your children. And so I started teaching through the International Institute of Reflexology and taught for them, gosh, since 1992. How many years is that now? But anyway, so then what happened is people were getting, the reflexes were getting harder and more condensed and more, you know, the more toxic our world became, the more information, you know, this cyber stuff, you know what I mean? Our cells, and for me, being raised in a very toxic environment, my cells were not open to receive everything. They're kind of like protective. Like, I don't trust you. I don't know what you're going to do to my innards. And I felt that's how the reflexes were. So when I would use Young Living essential oils on those reflexes, I noticed significant change immediately. Now, I just taught a class in Florida to a bunch of oilers. They were all mostly oilers. I had a class of 12. I think I had 2 professional body workers. They were all oilers. And they were just astounded because, again, we found that tender reflex and we put the oil on, and then they were like, wow, it's like gone. And we learned so much because it was like, it was so incredible. Like, who would think your parotid salivary gland was screaming? Who would have known?
Right.
You know, who knew their bottom canine tooth was having an issue? Dentist didn't say anything, but yeah, it was. You know, it's such a weird thing that you realize we catch these things before they develop into something else.
Yes. And I think the teeth, again, like we don't realize all the things God created in our bodies. I mean, the teeth are connected to our organs. And a lot of times if people are having issues with their teeth, I look up the organ that is connected to support that, see if that organ needs support. There's like so many things that are connected. It's like unbelievable.
So cool.
And Robyn, everything has another backup system. You know what I mean? If one, you know, we have like, just say muscles, we have 650 or 630 muscles in the body, and we work with just the big muscles. But if that big muscle lets go, there's another muscle underneath and another muscle that's going to take over and do it. So even though I have a frozen shoulder, I can still use my arm. Isn't that incredible? You know what I'm saying? So even if I have an amputee of something, another organ's going to come in and help me with that.
Yeah. And I want to just make another point that you said, because Leslie always says this to us. You may not know you have an issue. So she always says, you go out of balance energetically first and then physically. And so that's what you're saying. Like, you may not know you have that problem yet because you don't have that physical pain or whatever it is, but energetically you're out of balance, and that's the best time to catch something.
Yes.
And there's so many ways to address that, but it's so cool what you just said.
Yeah. And not just, and energetically, let's expand that to be emotionally, mentally, and spiritually.
Right.
You know, because we've just learned, let things roll off your back. Don't pay it. Let it go. Let it go. Don't think about it. Yeah, right. But the body's still thinking about it.
That's yes, right. I have a lot of people say that because they're surprised at things that come up in emotion code. And they're like, I really wanted to work on this. I'm like,
Oh,
well,
I know
you're,
mine was. I was like, oh my gosh, I was blown away by, seriously? I didn't really think I was that affected by that, but yeah, maybe
yeah, you're,
not consciously, but your body. And that's what people, I love what you guys do. You're just awesome in what you do. And you're helping so many people. So it's just really fascinating. So with the adjunct of essential oils, I would teach my regular reflexology, International Institute of Reflexology classes. And then the evening, I would do an extra bonus. Because if you've ever been to an IIR workshop, they are incredible. And you can go to I think it's reflexology-usa.net, the International Institute. And they're the original school in the United States. They've been around for 90 years teaching the
Wow.
original Inga method. And you'll see a lot of schools have, pulled off of that. But I had to teach oils for a long time. Oh my gosh, I don't know, maybe since 2000, 2003 or whatever, I have no clue. But we started in 2018 working and really developing reflexology. And that was a cool, interesting story because so many people would always say, Laurie, you got to write a book. You got to write a book. You have so much knowledge. You know so much. Get it down, get it down. And I'm like, well, I'd rather work on people's feet. And, I don't have time. I don't have time for that. So what ends up happening is God gives me neuropathy in my
oh,
arm, both arms. I could not even do this. I couldn't even, that's as far as I could bend. I was in tears. I was like, what am I going to do? My work, I can't do anything. I couldn't type. I couldn't work on feet. I tried teaching. And then when it came to the practical, I would just break down in tears because I was in such pain. It was so painful. And so that's how reflexology got started. Deborah Garlow said, Laurie, just you talk into a microphone and I'll transcribe it.
Mm,
God,
love it.
God sent an angel. And to this day, she's just a beautiful, wonderful friend. And we work together. So she helped me. And then after COVID, we had to put the classes online, which I was not happy with because I believe people should be touching each other. That's the power of those two nerves, energy bodies coming together and making that empowerment. Touch is so important, and I hope we get back to that very soon. And that's where I want to explain to people too. Technology is wonderful, and we learn a lot from it, and that's great because we are separated and we're sharing with each other, but touch is how we were never meant to be alone. We were never meant to be alone. And that touch is so important, so important.
yes. And I'd love to add that, the intention in the touch and that frequency is so amazing when you can touch somebody and you have a positive attitude or positive outlook, or just sharing that with somebody else can really affect them.
It's amazing.
I know. So, I mean, I've been trying to, so I am working on something with Laurie and Carrie. Hopefully we'll get to bring Laurie here.
Oh, I hope so. I have a lot of people wanting me to come to that area. So if we can
wrote
get together, it would be awesome.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine having Laurie and Carrie in the same
I
room?
can't.
It's just like, let's just
It
right in
needs
the
to be
greatness.
like a free 5-day retreat. Like it can't be like a few hours.
It's just like anytime we get people to Carrie's house, people are just in awe, and to have both of you in a room, I just think people will be speechless. Like I'm just
seriously
just like, holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have to do it. I have shivers all over. I will.
So you're thinking January 2025? Is that what? Or no?
I don't remember what
February, whatever rocks your boat. Yeah.
January. We've been right. We have texts about it, and I probably dropped the ball. Maybe
we will. You need to get on that because this needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything else.
Yes. Yeah, let's get it together. Let's get it together because it'll be here before we know it. And what a great way to start the year.
Oh yes, 100%.
It's
so cool. Yeah.
So do you currently see clients, or are you 100% teaching?
I have so much to get out of this head. And I have to give God the credit for that, because it's so fascinating when I teach by body systems, right? So when there's a system that needs to be revealed, I don't sleep. He just downloads and it comes through, and then I have to get up and I have to research and figure out how can I get that across to people in a simplistic way that makes sense so they can eternalize, because you have 8 hours. It's not a lot. In 4 hours, we play with the feet. So it's a lot to get in there. So what was your question?
Do you see clients, or do you
Oh, do
only
I
teach?
see clients? Yeah. So when I can fit them in. So I do. I think I love to work on feet. It's very important for me to stay connected to the feet. So I have never advertised. That's the other thing. I have never, ever advertised my reflexology, only my classes. 30 years. And let me tell you, I was working in 3 states every week. I mean, I had ample, I would see 5, 6 people a day. We need reflexologists. So it's just such a beautiful thing. But yeah, I still
It's fun to be with Laurie and people like us, just because everybody's touching each other, trying to help them with their whatever problem. They're like, give me your hand. Let me do mushroom on you. Let me do this. Let me desensitize you from this. Like, it's so fun to be around all the energy people.
Yes, it really is.
It's just, it really takes you to another level.
Yeah. It's like the best party to be at, for sure. It's so incredible. And you do so many things that you never thought could be connected, ideas, and I love being with idea people. And when you get a bunch of energy people in a room, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. So would you say the best way for people to get information or learn about it would be to go to your website, and we can put that in the show notes?
I think that's really important. It's reflex-oil-ogy.com, because there's many classes on there. So I really wanted to reach out with short classes, like $10, $15 online classes. And believe me, you get a lot of toe jam for those prices, believe me. So it really is helpful. And then people can kind of play with that a little bit online and see if this is something I'm going to want to do, and then you can get into the deeper courses. So yeah, so online is not always, it's there, but again, come to a live class, especially if we have one in your area, that would be great.
Yeah. So you mamas who are listening or watching, we're not talking about doing this professionally. It's like learning how to do this for you and your family and your friends. I mean, of course, Laurie just said we need more reflexologists. So if this is something that resonates with you, please go for it. This is like ways to help give you tools as the mama to work on your health.
Yeah. And help your kids and your whole family. I mean, even Jim, my husband, he will allow me to work on his feet when he cannot move. And a lot of times he's in construction and his back has gone out and he cannot move. And so I'm like, fine, you just lay there. I'm going to work on your feet. And it's absolutely amazing. So I've done it from a personal, just want to learn. So I've only been through like a couple body systems with you, Laurie, but some you do offer CEU, so people who need to fulfill that requirement can do that, which is great. Do you
nurses and physical therapists and
do you have your tour dates published? How far out do you have
we're still working on them. So yeah, there's a few published. The newsletter's coming out this week with Deborah's got some of the classes up there. So she plans the schedule so they can go to the web page and then sign up for the newsletter when you're there, because the newsletter is a lot of good information. Yeah.
It's incredible. I don't think I get that. Oh, you need to get the newsletter. And it's amazing. And Laurie is so connected. I've only been on one call with you and your colleagues, a lot of different reflexologists, and the call was mind blowing. I mean, I didn't know half of the things that people were talking about, but it was like the coolest call to be on. I felt like I was, eavesdropping on all these professionals talking about what happens in their industry and the changes that are coming and the exciting stories of healing and everything. So, yeah, you're super connected. You are a beautiful soul and light. Just when you're around, Laurie, you feel energetically, you feel so good. So
You too. You guys are just radiant. Keep doing what you're doing. And love to all of you out there, and just blessings to the living tree, because you are making it happen, dropping little seeds everywhere. I love it.
Thank you so much. And to anybody who's listening or watching, stay tuned for when Laurie's coming. We'll post it on our Facebook page, Wellness with Robyn and Julie. And we'll have more things to help mamas be empowered.
That's right.
So thanks, Laurie.
You're so welcome. Bless you guys. Love you. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. And if you want to support our show, give us a 5-star rating.
To learn more about our practice, visit athelivingtree.com.